Bhagavate Vāsadevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vāsadevaya. Nārayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyāsam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Hare Krishna. So welcome to Hare Krishna Temple Burbank. So we'll continuing with the study of Srīmad Bhāgavatam, and we have been discussing probably the most important instructions by Nārada Muni given to Srila Vyāsadeva, which forms the basis and the inspiration for Vyāsadeva to write this great scripture, which surpasses all other previous writings of his, and therefore these instructions tantamount to the most important instructions which actually inspired Vyāsadeva to compile Srīmad Bhāgavatam. So in this session, I was thinking how my Guru Maharaj used to do, that we'll recite this series of verses from text number 8 to 22, and just briefly go over these verses again and again. So Srīmad Bhāgavatam is meant to be studied again and again, because newer and newer meaning come out. Tadeva ramyam ruchiram navam navam, it is said. And especially when instructions are so important as this, we should be engraving it in our minds, in our hearts, and in our consciousness, so much so that it translates to, when we're doing our daily activities, that we are able to live by these instructions. And we can only live by these instructions if we can recall these instructions to that extent that these instructions should be engraved in very grain of our consciousness. So let's begin with the recitation. Shri Nārada Vāca Bhavatānudita Prāyam Yasho Bhagavato Malam Yenaivaso natushyeta Manye taddarshanam khilam. So we'll first recite, then we'll go into these verses. Yatha dharmadayaschartha Munivaryānukirtitaha Na tatha Vāsudevasya Mahimahi anuvarnitaha. Nayadvachaschitrapadam hareryasho Jagat pavitram praganita karhachit Tadvayasam tirthamushanti manasa Nayatra hamsa niramantyo shikshayaha. Tadvāg visargo janataga viplavo Yasmin prati shlokam abadhavatyapi Namanyanantasya yashonkitaniyan Shrinvanti gayanti grinanti sadhavaha Atho Mahabhaga Bhavanamo Gadre 12, is it 12? Neshkarmyam achyuta bhava varjitam Na shobhate gnanamalam niranjanam Kota puna shashvadat bhadramishvare Na charpitam karma yadyap akaranam Atho mahabhaga bhavanamo gadrik Shuchi shrava satyarato dhritavrataha Urukramasya khila bandha muktaye Samadhinano smaratad vicheshtitam Tatonyatha kinchana yad vivakshita Prithak drishastat kritarupa namabhi Nakarhachit kvapi cha dushtitamatihi Labhe tavata hatanaurivaspadam Jugupsitam dharma kritenu shashata Svabhavaraktasya mahan vyatikramaha Yadvakyato dharma iti tarastito Namanyate tasya nivaranam janaha Vichakshanosyarhati veditam vibhor Anantaparasya nivrittita sukham Pravartamanasya gunairanapmanas Tato bhavan darshaya cheshtitam vibhoho Yaktva sadharmam charanam mujam hare Bhajan pakvo tapatet yato yedi Yatra kvava bhadramabhudamushyakim Kovartha apto bhajatam swadharmataha Tasyaiva heto prayateta kovido Na labhyate yad brahmatamu pradha Tallabhyate dukkhavadanyata sukham Kalena sarvatra gambhira ramhasa Navaijano chatu kathanchana vrajen Mukunda Sevya Anvavada Anga Samsmritim Smaran Mukundangari Upaguha Napunar Vihatum Ichanena Rasagraho Janaha Idam hi Vishvam Bhagavan Nirvetaro Yato Jagatsthana Nirodha Sambhavaha Tabdhi Swayam Veda Bhavam Stathapite Pradeshamatram Bhavata Padarshitam Tvam Atmanatmanam Aveyamogadre Parasya Pumsa Paramatmana Kalam Ajam Prajatam Jagata Shivayatan Mahamanubhava Bhudayo Diganyatam Idam hi pumsas tapasa shrutasya va Svishtas yat suktas yat cha buddhi dattayoho Avichyutortha kavibhir nirupito Yad uttama shloka gunanuvarnanam Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So when we study these verses, we look at the start, we look at the end, and we look at the middle. So the ending verse here, the last verse of the series, this we just recited, translation by His Loving Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So the conclusion is, learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of advancement of knowledge, namely austerities, study of Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns and charity, culminates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is defined in joyous poetry. So everything, our whole purpose of everything we are doing here, ultimately should culminate into chanting and hearing of the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. If it does not, then it is incomplete, and also everything we do to some extent or great extent is nullified. In practical terms, it means that when the descriptions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is being narrated or discussed, then we should leave everything aside and just sit down and hear Srīmad Bhāgavatam. For practical purposes, some services in the background may need to go on. Like for example, washing of the dishes in the kitchen after the prasadam has been observed. But such labor efforts should be very, very thin to the minimum. Majority of the devotees who come here, they should be sitting inside, and what to speak, least standing outside and gossiping or talking about other things, or even other services. Sometimes in name of services, we try to avoid sitting down and listening of Srīmad Bhāgavatam. So this is very important, and we should ourselves try to practice this. So this is the conclusion of it. Now what is the starting of it? It starts from the 8th and the 9th verse. Let's go to the 8th and the 9th verse to see how Nārada Muni starts off his conversation. Translation. Shri Nārada said, "You have not actually broadcast the sublime and spotless glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Bhavatanudita prayam yasho bhagavato amalam." So yasho means the glories, bhagavato means of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and amalam means the spotless. The glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always spotless. Text number 8, chapter 5. Yenaivaso natushyate, unless and until the Supreme Lord's description, Yasho, which is said, is heard and sung, natushyate, it will not give us satisfaction. We may be just running around like wild monkeys here and there, it will not give us satisfaction. Manyate tad darshanam khilam. And therefore, Nārada Muni concludes that manyat tad, I regard that whatever darshan or philosophy you have supplied so far is khilam, is inferior. If it does not again culminate into Yasho Bhagavato Amalam. Then in the next verse, he goes on to say that you have in your darshan overemphasized on the dharmadayas chartha, in the chatur purushartha, which is dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Dharma means that religiosity practice which we do to get money. Artha. Why do we do that? So through money we can kama, fulfill our desires and enjoy. But ultimately these three purusharthas will result in frustration, because Yasho Bhagavata Amalam, the glories of Krishna is not there. That is not the basis of it. And because it's not the basis of it, natushyate, it will not give us satisfaction. Then what the natural conclusion of the people will be? That I am frustrated with this. I was promised that this will give us happiness. It is not giving me happiness. Therefore this is all nonsense and I want to leave everything. That is called moksha. Moksha out of frustration. But devotees also get moksha. But their moksha is not out of frustration. It is rather a byproduct of Yasho Bhagavato Amalam. The glories of chanting of Hare Krishna automatically liberates us. It is not the main substance, it is a byproduct. Any questions or comments so far? Prabhu?
Can you translate that in practical life? Like, for us and even for newcomers,
yes.
How can we say that, yes, there's no frustration? Because even though we practice Krishna consciousness, there are frustrations will happen, and when the time comes, there's hardly any help around, so to say.
Yes. So, good question, Prabhuji, and good observation as well. These verses at the moment are pure philosophy. So Nārada Muni is not giving practical instructions at the moment. It is pure siddhanta, meaning principles. The practical instructions, it starts from verse number 23 and culminates at the end of chapter 6. So there it is given. And we have basically touched on those practical aspects. If we take care of the details, as they say, the devil is in the detail. So in those practical aspects, there are many, many pointers Nārada Muni explains. Basically, the whole nutshell of the crux of this pastime, is that even while practicing, as Prabhuji said, that there may be frustrations. As Nārada Muni himself experiences those frustrations when he is undergoing this process of devotional service. So since Prabhuji asked that question, we will comment a bit on that. So the first thing Narad Muni says in practical terms is vachishta, is that we have to make sure that we eat prasadam, because prasadam will prepare a fertile ground of our intelligence and brain to be able to absorb and understand the spiritual subject matters. That is very, very important. If the prasadam or the food we eat is not correct, then our existence cannot be pure. We have seen that those who are very meticulous in their eating, they are able to practice spirituality very smoothly. That's the first thing. The second thing is that this path is sublime, yet there will be many, many obstacles as well, because Maya Devi wants to test. And at the same time, our own immaturities may be there. And Lord Krishna says to Narad Muni that avipakva yakashayanam, I do not manifest myself to immature devotees. So just fast forwarding a bit, what transpired that when Narad Muni was the son of the maid servant, and the Bhakti Vedantist who changed for 4 months of Chaturmasya in the house where Narad Muni's mother was serving, there Narad Muni had the good fortune of 4 months of association of those devotees, and of course he took Mahaprasad from them and became immediately enlivened and enlightened. And when Bhakti Vedantis wanted to leave, Narad Muni wanted to leave with them, but they actually told him that no, you are the only son of your mother, and therefore your duty is to stay here and look after her. So Narad Muni lived at home with a very grave internal mood of detachment. So this is what we have to also do our devotional services. It is said, Savai Nivritti Dharmena. Our devotional service has to be done in Nivritti Dharma, knowing that all this is temporary. My wife, my husband, my mother, my children, they are all temporary. Who were all these in our past life? We don't know. Are they important? Not now. But then they were probably most important. Similarly, those who we regard as important now will not be important when this body we have to leave. So this is called Nivritti Dharmena. Savai Nivritti Dharmena. Second thing, Vyāsadeva Anukampaya. Depend on mercy of Krishna always. Always we have to introspect and internalize our attachment to Krishna and internalize our detachment as well. Not to go home and say to the husband or wife, I'm detached from you. That will cause problems. Vyāsadeva Anukampaya, Bhagavad Bhakti Yogena, and execute the principle of devotional service. That's why we have Siksha programs on how to do Tulsi Arati, how to do deity worship, how to cook food, how to offer to the Lord, all those aspects, chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, listening of Bhāgavatam, all that is included in there. And when we do like that, devotional service in mode of detachment, even though we may be attached, depending on mercy of Krishna, and doing with sadhana bhakti, then tiro datte shanaiya, Bhagavatam says, slowly and gradually we will be able to detach ourselves from the situations. And when that happens, then there is no question of frustrations. Even in the field of devotional service, even when we met with reverses. We see how many reverses Srila Prabhupada met, but he soldiered on because his devotional service was rather more internalized than externalized. And we see Nārada Muni. So what transpired? A snake bit his mother and she left her body. And Nārada Muni, because he had already developed internal detachment, he immediately was able to overcome the distress. He actually did not feel distress, Bhāgavatam says. He considered it as a great mercy and fortune that has provided to him by providence. Now this is another point, is that when we are internally ready to detach, that's when Krishna will make us externally detached. He will provide conditions. Like for Srila Prabhupada, he was practicing devotional service, in his Grahastha ashram very meticulously, even though the family was not cooperative. But when the time came to externally detach, and circumstances came, that episode we see that Prabhupada had written his manuscripts of Bhāgavatam, and his wife sold it off to get some biscuits, tea biscuits, to dip in the tea and have it. So imagine you are handwriting the manuscripts, and it's basically your devotion ingrained. You're putting your heart into the pages, and the person who's supposed to understand your inner feelings the most takes and sells those off just for some biscuits. Prabhupada felt very hurt, and he said, today you have to choose whether it's me or tea. And she jokingly said, very well then, it has to be tea. And those words actually, she was joking, but Prabhupada wasn't. He didn't take it seriously. Prabhupada took it very seriously, and immediately he just left home. And it's not that he did not feel sad. It is Bhagavati Mataji, when she was telling this episode, she was telling actually for 2 days Prabhupada just sat under a tree, and he did not eat anything, drink anything, and he was very, very sad. It wasn't easy to extricate. But then he regarded this as Krishna's direction and path for him. And also his Guru Maharaj, he was having dreams that Guru Maharaj is coming in the dreams with the sannyas danda, and Srila Prabhupada wakes up with cold sweat as to how can I live? It's very difficult in the family life to just live like that. But Prabhupada was not an ordinary person. He had a mission and a purpose to achieve. So he just was able somehow to do it. And we see it throughout Prabhupada's life, from that point of time, so many obstacles came from God brothers, his own God brothers who never supported him. And even after Srila Prabhupada was successful, his God brothers were envious of him. Gunarnavara Prabhu, mentions when in Prabhupada's disappearance day we observed here, that some of his God brothers were criticizing his Bhagavatam translations and purports, and they were undermining the disciples and trying to influence the disciples in an adverse way. But Srila Prabhupada, very boldly said, I'm not writing this. Krishna is making me write this. They don't understand this. And the result is in the pudding, as they say. And we say that those who actually read Srīmad Bhāgavatam, written and translated by Prabhupada, and Bhagavad Gita, written and translated by Prabhupada, their life actually changes for better. Other books, we may read, we may get information, but the transformation hardly happens. It is through Srila Prabhupada's books. These are the rule books for the next 10,000 years. Prabhupada said, the effects of Kali Yuga after 10,000 years will go like it will just so for at least this lifetime, this is here. So what reverses did Prahlad Maharaj, Nārada Muni, face? Nārada Muni, when the mother passed away, he left everything. He left and went into the forest, regarding this as his good fortune. And there he started meditating. And in his meditation, he started seeing Krishna manifested in his heart. And he saw Krishna face to face. However, after some time, Krishna disappeared from the heart. Nārada Muni became anxious and he became sad. And he tried meditating hard, but Krishna wasn't manifesting anymore. And then Nārada Muni, thinking that the Lord may be outside, he opened his eyes from meditation. But even externally, Krishna was not manifest before Nārada Muni. And Nārada Muni became very anxious. At that time, then, it is said that the Supreme Lord, through Shabda Brahma, Akashvani spoke, O Nārada, I regret to inform you that I will not manifest further in front of you in this lifetime. Avipakvascha kashayanam. The words the Lord uses is avipakva. Those who are immature in their devotional service, I do not manifest to them. Then why did Krishna manifest to him before? The Shabda Brahma says that I manifested myself to inspire you, O Nārada, so that that vision will give you inspiration to continue the path on devotional service. So this is what we have to understand. When we first come to Krishna consciousness, we may get a lot of realizations, we may get a lot of inspiration, and that is the mercy of Krishna. Krishna is giving us that directly. However, as we tread on the path of devotional service, the path may seem like becoming difficult. Various challenges may be thrown at us. And at that time, we have to go back to the inspiration that we first got, or that we continually get somehow or the other. Because we have to understand avipakva chakachayanam. Now, consider Nārada Muni's situation. He had left everything. He went to the forest, and to that extent, he was 24 hours doing devotional service. And yet Krishna says to him, avipakva kashayanam. Your devotional service is not mature yet. But at the end, Krishna promised, at the end of this life, you will see me face to face. So what did Nārada Muni do? What did Nārada Muni say? Oh, this is all nonsense. I should just leave it and go. After doing all this, even then Krishna said, I will not give you audience in this lifetime. No. Nārada Muni had a positive attitude and a positive twist, and that's what we should all follow. That leads us to the 6th chapter. And in one of the verses, Nārada Muni goes to say, and therein, I think it's text number 25, Nārada Muni says, everyone has books, you can open. Text 25, chapter 6. Etavadukto pararama tanmahan bhutam nabho lingam lingam ishwaram aham cha tasmai mahatam mahiyase Krishna vanamam vidadhenu kampita etavadukvo pararama tanmahan bhutam nabho lingam lingam ishwaram Aham cha tasmai mahatam mahiyase Srishna vanamam vidadenu kampitaha. So Nārada Muni is speaking this to Vyāsadeva, and he's telling that after when Krishna spoke through Shabda Brahma, how he took it. Now, please repeat the translation. Then that supreme authority, personified by sound, and unseen by eyes, but most wonderful, stopped speaking, feeling a sense of gratitude, I offered my obeisances unto him, bowing my head. So Nārada Muni sets the scene for all of us. We should have a sense of gratitude even when the things are not going our way. Why? Because we already have Srīmad Bhāgavatam, Prabhupada has given us. We already have our chanting beads. We already have the instructions of the spiritual masters. They have spoken, etavat uktvo. And here, let's look at word to word. Etavat, thus, uktva, spoken, uparamam, stopped, tat, that, mahat, great, bhutam, wonderful, nabhalingam, personified by sound, alingam, unseen by eyes, Ishwaram, the supreme authority. This part is very important. Bhutam, nabholingam, alingam, Ishwaram. We'll look at the paper in a moment. Aham, I, cha, also, tasmai, unto him, mahatam, the great, mahiyase, unto the glorified, Srishna, by the head, avanan, mam, obeisances, vidadhe, executed, anukampitaha, being favored by him. So Nārada Muni considered himself being favored by the Supreme Lord. And he expresses his great gratitude, feeling a sense of gratitude. I offered my obeisance unto him by bowing my head. Would anyone like to read the purport? I will take the mic from here. Sorry. It's a short but most wonderful paper. And the essence of our movement is covered in this.
That the personality of Godhead was not seen but only heard does not make any difference. The personality of Godhead produced the four Vedas by his breathing, and he is seen and realized through the transcendental sound of the Vedas. Similarly, the Bhagavad Gita is the sound representation of the Lord, and there is no difference in identity. The conclusion is that the Lord can be seen and heard by persistent chanting of the transcendental sound. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So where is Prabhupada getting this from? So in the West, if you look, Bhutam Nabholingam. What's the translation of Nabholingam? He is personified by sound. So when you say Krishna, it's the personification of Krishna's personality. He's the same as his sound vibration. There's no difference. People say, oh Lord, when will you give me the darshan? That's a good sentiment. But when one is just chanting Hare Krishna, then he is in association of the Lord. He does not miss the Lord. He is actually in association of the Lord. Of course, the Uttamadhikaris, when experiencing higher taste, they are feeling separation in union and union in separation also. That's a very, very high sentiment. But we should accept this, that Bhutam Nabholingam, that he is personified by sound, alingam, but unseen by these material eyes. So the way to constantly be with Krishna, practically, as Sakirai Prabhu mentioned, it's practically in spiritual life, it's just A, B, C, D, very simple. Eating prasadam, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And Nārada Muni, by example of his own life, tells us, Nārada Muni is Shakyavesha avatar, meaning he is empowered in the principles of bhakti. Bhakti, he is the acharya for bhakti. He is bhakti personified actually himself. And this is how we take this. Please, someone sing the bass. Let everyone repeat. Mataji, would you like to sing the bass? Take the mic. Let everyone repeat.
Etvad ukvo paramam tanmahat.
Etavad ukvo param tanmahat.
Bhutam nabolingam ishwaram.
Bhutam nabolingam ishwaram.
Aham cha tasmai mahatam mahiyes.
Aham cha tasmai mahatam mahiyase.
Srīnavanamam vidadenu-kampitah.
Srīnavanamam vidadenu-kampitah. Thank you, Mataji. So if we can memorize this verse, it will be very nice. Our Guru Maharaj emphasized a lot on this verse and gave wonderful classes on this verse, especially on meditating on the few aspects. Bhutam nabho lingam, alingam ishwaram. And secondly, aham chatasmai mahatam mahi yashe, that expressing the gratitude unto the great one who is glorified, mahi yashe. And thirdly, Srishnavanamam vidadenu kampita, recognizing his favor, anukampitaha, that Krishna is always merciful, and Krishna wants us to mature in devotional service, and that's why sometimes he puts us through difficult situation so that we can grow our spiritual muscles. If no difficulty is there, we cannot grow our spiritual muscles. Actually, I was speaking to one of the devotees recently, and they were saying, they were having issues with, getting the initiation and so and so. But their attitude was so nice and positive. They said that Krishna has given us a favor because our prayers actually intensified more when we underwent this process. So difficulties are good because it makes us rely more on Krishna. So at that point, what we do? Srishnavanamam vidadenu kampitaha. We just simply bow our head and with a sense of gratitude offer our obeisances to the Lord. And then in the next verse, Nārada Muni further practically tells what he did, and this forms the crux of actually devotional service. And Prabhupada quotes this verse, quite a lot in his classes. Namanyanantasya hatatra papatan guhyani bhadrani kritani chasmaran gampar Gamparyatam stushtamanagata sruha. Gamparyatam stushtamanagata sruha. Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha. Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha. So 10 aspects are mentioned in this verse, which are very important. Why this verse is very important? Because in the first line of the paper of this verse, Srila Prabhupada says, please repeat, the life of a sincere devotee of the Lord is thus explained in a nutshell by Nārada Muni by his personal example. Very important. Nārada Muni, his life is explained in this verse in a nutshell by his personal example. You know, once I asked my Guru Maharaj question that, Maharaj, you know, you are second generation in that sense, because he saw Prabhupada, he had darshan of Prabhupada many times, he spoke and took instructions from Prabhupada, but he did not get initiated by Prabhupada formally. I mean, consciously he got initiated, but not formally. But yet, you know, you are given grave awe and respect, you know, wherever you go. Even Srila Prabhupada disciples, you know, give you so much respect. What is the secret? I asked him that. And very humbly, you know, he just opened Bhāgavatam and he said, because I have lived, sincerely tried to live by this verse of Srīmad Bhāgavatam. And he spoke that verse. So if we sincerely try to live by this verse of Srīmad Bhāgavatam, 10 aspects are mentioned here, and try to live by these 10 aspects, then actually we will be ready to meet any challenges in life, because those challenges will not mean anything. We will grow our spiritual muscles by practicing these 10 aspects of devotional service. What are these? Namani anantasya hatatra papathan. Let's look at word to word. Namani, the holy name, fame, etc. Anantasya, of the unlimited. So this is the first aspect, that chanting and regarding the name is our only wealth. Namani Ananta, it's unlimited names of Krishna. Nam Akari Bahuda Nijasarva Shakti, and all the Shaktis are in the names of Krishna. It's there. Anything we want to achieve, name will make it possible. Namani Anantasya. And then what should be our attitude? Hatatra papathan. While chanting the name, meaning pathan, repeated recitation. Reciting and repeated reading, Prabhupada translates here. If you read, see the wonderful way Prabhupada has translated. Even reading is glorification of Krishna. Reading Prabhupada books. And that too, not just recite once and leave it, no. Repeated reading. Repeat again and again, we have to go over it, and again we'll get more juice, more rasa. Namani anantasya hatatra papathan. How that chanting should be? Hatatrapa. What is hatatrapa? Being freed from all formalities of material world. Please repeat. Being freed from all formalities of the material world. Meaning, we should not be shy in devotional service. We should not think, what will this person say? What will my family members think? Oh, he's become a devotee now. No. We should free from all formalities of the material world. If we are shy in devotional service, guess what? Krishna will be shy with us when the time comes and not come. We have to be like Prabhupada. His godbrother said, you going to America to preach, wear a suit, wear a tie. Prabhupada said, no. I'm free from all material formalities. I'm going there to give them something, not to take something from them. So similarly, in our process of chanting and devotional service, we should be sensitive, but we should not be shy to present what we have to give, because we have something very valuable to give, and also very valuable to take from this. Two aspects I mentioned here. Nama nyanantasya hatatra papatan. And then in the second line, guhyani bhadrani kritani chasmaran. Guhyani bhadrani kritani chasmaran. So guhyani, mysterious, bhadrani, all benedictory, or also bhadrani also means auspicious. All benedictory means it will benedict us, but it is mysterious. My Guru Maharaj used to say, I don't know how it works, but it works. We don't know how the chanting of the name works, but it works. It will give us all benedictions. This Chatur Purushartha will just make us frustrated. Better way of fulfilling desires, if we have at all, directly go to Krishna and just chant his holy names. It is all benediction. And the highest benediction is that Krishna will give us his love. That's the highest benediction. It's mysterious. How? I used to ask this question. I think you guys are scammers. Just by chanting Hare Krishna, everything will be all right, all problems will be solved. We don't know how it happens, but it happens. Many devotees can testify to that. No, it happens. Therefore it is guhyani. But bhadrani. Mysterious, but non-inobscure. What's the word? Obscure. That's why this tells English is not my best language. I have to look it up and tell. I know the word, but I can't say it properly. So it is mysterious, but the results can be seen. That if you follow the process, how it all happens, we cannot know. Because Prabhupada quotes this verse, Parasa Shakte Vividai Pashuyate. Because when we chant Krishna's name, we are tapping into Krishna's higher energy, which is Parashakti, many varieties of those Shakti. So Guhyani, so this gives us faith. This aspect gives us faith. Nārada maintained that faith. It is auspicious, it is mysterious, but benedictory, auspicious. And the fourth aspect, Kritani Chasmaran. Kritani Chasmaran. So activities, please repeat, Kritani, activities, Cha, and Smaran, constantly remembering the activities of Krishna. How Krishna delivered Putna, even though she came to kill him. How Krishna fulfilled the desires of all the gopis and the gopavasis. How Krishna lifted the golden hill. How Krishna was so merciful. How Krishna expanded himself into so many forms of cowherd boys and calves. All these activities, so auspicious. Every morning, I remember my mother used to sing this Krishna Krishna Shodashaka Stotra, which cover all the major activities of Krishna's pastime in one stotra. It takes about 10-11 minutes to recite. But all major pastimes of Krishna are covered in that. So songs like that, bhajans like that, you constantly sing and in a nutshell remember. Some of the stanzas, I recall from those ways. It says, Jai Jai Shri Radha Ramana Mangala Karana Kripa Lataka Mukuta Murali Dharana Manamohana Gopal Gati Dinahi Putanahi Natab Meri Bari Shri Radha Var Krishna Chandra Mein Sharan Tumhari Mati ke misbatan sakala brahmanda dikhayo. So he ate the mud and in his mouth he showed the whole Brahman to Mother Yashoda. Mati ke misbatan sakala brahmanda dikhayo. Gopin chatiya bhari chachahi pinachana chayo. And the gopis, they used to say to Krishna that, oh Krishna, you dance, we'll give you some buttermilk. Chachiya bhari chach means you put your palms like this and whatever buttermilk can fit, charge can fit, we'll give you that. Now Krishna is the owner and the proprietor of all the three universes. If he wants, he can make a planet full of charge and just dip and drink. But to please the gopis, he dances. Ukala subandi nalakubar kiku gati sudhari. So this Damodar Lila pastime is there. Ukala subandi. Immediately we remember the whole pastime, how Mother Yashoda tied Krishna. Nalakubar kiku gati sudhari. The bad destination of Nalakubar and Manigriv, Krishna liberated them. So there is no shortage, of Krishna's wonderful pastime and remembrance, and immediately, our consciousness is enlightened. So these are Guhyani Bhadrani Kritani Chasmaran. These activities of Krishna are to be remembered, and Nārada Muni is continuously remembering, singing, and doing so without actually caring for anyone. Atha Patan. Repeatedly he is doing it again and again. And in this way what he is doing? Gamparyatam stushtamana spruha. Gamparyatam stushtamana spruha. Gamparyatam. He is traveling all over the world. Gam means actually village. So from village to village, town to town, in every town and village, this is actually the mission of Mahaprabhu. So a devotee, as devotees, we should not stick to one place. Meaning, wherever we go, we should just do these activities. Namani anantasya tatava patan guhyani vadrani kitani chasmaran. Kamparyatams, and move about. So devotees, they have this nature. If somewhere the situation is unfavorable, don't bang the head there. Move on. There's so many places, so many suburbs. There is no lacking. Krishna consciousness is only lacking. But there is no lacking of opportunities. We can just move on and save ourselves and also give Krishna consciousness to others. Gamparyatams. Our Guru Maharaj used to say, if we stay stuck in one place, then it's like water. Water which is still not running will become filthy. Algae will form. It's not drinkable. It's not pleasurable. So devotees should be moving, keep moving. I don't know how many times I have moved. Even within Brisbane, 3 times already moved.
3 times my kids keep complaining, you want to change houses all the time. In Brisbane I would have moved like 6-7 times.
No, we see all successful devotees, even like in Gujarat, Narsimha Mehta, he kept moving. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu keeps moving. Srila Prabhupada kept moving. No, Pir Krishna Maharaj, no, he said, when Prabhupada had left, he had so much difficulties dealing with the bureaucracy. And he just went to one place where there was no temple, no Krishna consciousness, and then with his own hands he built the temple. Literally, he made the plans, put the bricks himself, each and every mortar, and that's how he built the temple there, North Carolina. And now that's a flourishing place of Krishna consciousness. So this is what Nārada Muni is giving us. Nārada Muni is always known to be happy. It's always known to be happy. So wherever he goes, he is happy, he makes everyone happy. Prabhupada used to say, chant and be happy. Gamparyatam stushtamana sruha. So Gamparyatam is the fifth quality. And the sixth quality, tushtamana. What does tushtamana mean? Self-satisfied. This is the quality we have to have. Satisfied, satisfaction. Whatever Krishna is giving, satisfaction in that. That no ulterior motive. If we are self-satisfied, then devotional service we can do. In practical terms, our Guru Maharaj said, 3 things always be satisfied with. Swadare, Trishu Santosa Kartavya, Swadare, Bhojana, Dhanat. That Swadare means our life partner, husband or wife. Bhojana means whatever comes in our plate, satisfied with that. And Dhanat, whatever wealth comes according to its own providence. And Trisu Santosa Akartavya. And 3 things we should never be satisfied with. Japa, Swadhyaya, Dhanat. We should never be satisfied with our chanting. We should not have a feeling, 16 rounds, I can do anything now. After we finish 16 rounds, we should feel like chanting more and more. Whether we are able to or not, that's another matter, but we should feel like chanting more and more. Then that is a sign whether we have taste developed or whether we are developing taste for it. If 16 rounds are over and we say, thank God, then that's a sign we haven't developed the taste yet. Something's wrong somewhere. But if 16 rounds is over, we feel like, I wish I can chant more, but time is lacking. That's a good thing. So, not satisfied with how many things? What are those 3 things? Chanting, reading Swadhyaya, Bhāgavatam, charity.
Most important first. Most important, the third part.
Charity. You can tell he's our finance man. He wants to make Radhagiri, Govardhanari and Govindji death free. So, should not be satisfied with charity. Charity could be wealth, charity could be preaching, charity could be, giving knowledge to others, distribution of prasadam, distribution of Krishna consciousness. That's the greatest charity. And 3 things satisfied with: Swadare, life partner, Bhojana, whatever comes in play, and Dhana, whatever wealth comes out of own. Gamparyatam stushtamana gataspruha. Gamparyatam stushtamana gataspruha. Gataspruha is translated as completely free from all material desires. Now this is a great quality of Nārada Muni, and he's asking us to imbibe it as well. Completely free from all material desires. Now, therefore, Nārada Muni, wherever he goes, he is welcome. Even when he goes to demons, our Guru Maharaj says, the demons also become happy to see him. Why? Because they know he doesn't have any desires. He won't ask for anything. He will just come, speak some sweet words, give us comfort, glorify the Lord, and then go away. This is how the devotee should be. Our Guru Maharaj told me that whenever you are traveling for preaching, try not to stay in any place more than 3 days. Because the host should not feel like, oh, when will he leave? The host should feel like, I wish he stays more. So, without any desires, not expecting anything from anyone. Why? Because this is enough. Namani anantasya hatata paparan guyani badrani kritani chasamam smaran. This is enough to nourish us. We don't need anything else. And as a byproduct of this, we will be able to travel and go everywhere satisfied in mind, free from desires. Gamparyatam stushtamanagata spruha. Gamparyatam stushtamanagata spruha. Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha. Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha. Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha. Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha. So, kalam, time, please repeat. Kalam, time, pratikshan, awaiting. So, in a nutshell, awaiting for the right time. I remember once I was giving class in Sydney on this verse, and I asked, so what is he waiting for? And one devotee raised his hand and said, Prasadam? No, he's not waiting for Prasadam. No, he's waiting for the right time when he has to leave the body. Kala pratiksha, waiting for the right time. Waiting for the time when our Guru Maharaj used to say, meaning that we should always have our bags packed up. That any moment we have to leave, bags are ready, meaning our consciousness is right and we can leave any time we have to. And we actually wait for that time when we will leave this body. Devotee is never afraid to leave the body. Nārada Muni gives his own example. When he leaves the body, it was like lightning and illumination both at the same time. When lightning happens, what happens with it? Illumination. Instant. No pain. When the devotee leaves, actually it is described as lightning and illumination. And he goes in, because this for a devotee is Jivetayo Mukti Pade Sadaya Bhav, as Brahmaji says, his rightful claim is on liberation. And Krishna assures that. So why wouldn't a pure devotee of the Lord wait for that time? Till we are here, we are with the Lord in chanting, and we wait for that time. In the meantime, when the Lord will bestow His mercy upon us and take us back. Iskaram Karma so nicely, says in one of his final instructive videos, I wait for you to come back and meet me on the other path, the other side of the world. So Krishna is waiting for us, and we also should be waiting, yes, when we will be able to leave this body and go. Because this body is not fit for a gentleman. Prabhupada mentions. Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha. Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha. So, kalam pratikshan, that means what? A devotee is never afraid of death. Devotee is fearless in true sense. Everyone is fearful of death, but the devotee becomes fearless. And then the ninth aspect, Vimado Vimatsaraha. So how proud should a person become when he has all these qualities? But no, Nārada Muni says, without being pride and without being envious. Mada means intoxication of pride. So even though Nārada Muni became very well qualified, there was not a tinge of pride in him. That yes, now I'm a devotee of the Lord. I can, everyone else is inferior. No. Prideless. And therefore, he's not having any envy. In fact, Nārada Muni is celebrated as taking everyone under his wing. Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his bhajan says, Radha Krishna bolo, Sangha chalo, Aimatra bhika chai. That everyone chant Radha Krishna, Sangha chalo, come with us. Aimat, this is my only begging. This is only I beg of you. Become devotee, become a better devotee than me. Siddhartha Saraswati Thakur used to say, I beg that at least one of my disciples becomes a pure devotee of the Lord, a better devotee than me, so that he can take me back home, back to Godhead. Such sentiment, a pure devotee has. Everyone become a devotee and a better devotee than me, and take me back home, back to Godhead. Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha.
Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha.
And when there is no pride, there is no envy. Vimatsaraha. Otherwise, matsar means, our Guru Maharaj says, it's like machar. Machar, the mosquito, it sucks blood and then dies. If we are envious towards anyone, it isn't a blood boils. But blood boils, blood is killing ourselves. No. But vimatsara means without envy. No boiling of blood. Nice, healthy blood. Our Guru wants to say that if we want to increase red blood cells, devotional service is the best aushadhi for that. There is no need to eat red meat. Just by doing pure devotional service, the red blood cells will automatically increase in the body. Now, I don't know how this happened. Like when we used to go to see our Guru Maharaj, after some period of time, and one of the first things he used to say, oh, so nice to see you, son. You are so looking red like tomato. I was thinking, red like tomato? What do you mean? Never asked him that. But then in one of his classes, he said this, red blood cells increase. That's sign of health, good health. So he said, if not for anything, but for good health, practice this, two things, vimada, vimatsaraha. And this is possible when genuinely we do these 10 things together. Namani anantasya hatatra papathan. Guhyani badrani kritani chasmaran. Gamparyatam stushtamana spruha. Kalam pratikshan vimada vimatsaraha.
Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha.
Would everyone like to repeat? Sing and then we'll conclude. Namani anantasya hatatra papathan. Guhyani badrani kritani chasmaran. Gamparyatam stushtamana spruha. Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsara. Yes, next.
Namanyanantasya hatatra papathan.
Namanyanantasya hatatra papathan.
Guhyani badrani kritani
च स्मरन् गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरा
नामानि अनन्तस्य हता कृपापठन्
नामानि अनन्तस्य हता कृपापठन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः नामानि अनन्तस्य हता कृपापठन् गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन् गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरा
नामानि अनन्तस्य हता कृपापठन्
नामानि अनन्तस्य हता कृपापठन् गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन् गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
नामानि अनन्तस्य हता कृपापठन्
नामानि अनन्तस्य हता कृपापठन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
नामानि अनन्तस्य हता कृपापठन्
नामानि अनन्तस्य हता कृपापठन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्मरः
गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः नामानि अनन्तस्य हता कृपापठन् गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन् गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
नामानि अनन्तस्य हता कृपापठन्
नामानि अनन्तस्य हता कृपापठन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गाम्पर्यतस्तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
नामानि अनन्तस्य हतात्र पापठन्
नामानि अनन्तस्य हता कृपापठन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गाम्पर्यटं स्तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
नामान्यनन्तस्य हता हतात्र पापठन्
नामान्यनन्तस्य हतात्र पापठन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गाम्पर्यतं स्तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
गाम्पर्यतं स्तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
नामान्यनन्तस्य हता त्रिपापठन्
नामान्यनन्तस्य हतात्र पापठन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गाम्पर्यतं सतुष्टमनागता स्फुरः
गाम्पर्यतं स्तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
कालं प्रतीक्षण विमोदो विमत्सरः
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
नामानि अनन्तस्य
नामान्यनन्तस्य गाम्पर्यतं स्तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
कालं प्रतीक्षन्
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
नामान्यनन्तस्य हतात्र पापठन्
नामान्यनन्तस्य हतात्र पापठन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गाम्पर्यतं स्तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
गाम्पर्यतं स्तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
नामान्यनन्तस्य हता त्रिपापठन्
नामान्यनन्तस्य हतात्र पापठन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
गाम्पर्यतं स्तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
नामान्यनन्तस्य हतात्र पापठन्
नामान्यनन्तस्य हतात्र पापठन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
गाम्पर्यतं स्तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
गाम्पर्यतं स्तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
कालं प्रतीक्षान् विमदो विमत्सरः
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः. Very nice. So this meter is known as Indra Vamsha. So it's, if you look at Sanskrit, it's 4 lines, and in each line it's 16 syllables. So we know that this meter is to be recited for these 4-line verses with 16 syllables. And when we recite this, we try to start from the low, then go higher in terms of the meter. So not Namaninantas, Namaninantasya hatatra papathan,
नामान्यनन्तस्य हतात्र पापठन्
Guhyani bhadrani kritani cha smaran,
गुह्यानि भद्राणि कृतानि च स्मरन्
Gamparyatam stushtamanagata spruha,
गाम्पर्यतं तुष्टमनागता स्पृहा
Kalam pratikshan vimado vimatsaraha.
कालं प्रतीक्षन् विमदो विमत्सरः
Thank you so much, Prabhu Mataji. Any questions, comments? Actually, I was going to make everyone recite and sing this verse in today's Srīmad Bhāgavatam installation. But I think if many of you are there, I have to speak something else now. But anyway, we can repeat it. Who is coming there today? Okay, few devotees. Actually, then you should learn it by heart. Yes. There is. Yes. Yes, yeah, we are studying that in this place. Namani, Yashoni, Ankitani cha, Srīmad Gayanti, Smaranti Sadhava. So, if we try to live by this verse, because as this is by personal example of Nārada Muni. Let's just finish off with the third one. Prabhupada ki, the life of a sincere devotee of the Lord is thus explained in a nutshell by Nārada Muni by his personal example. Such a devotee, after his initiation by the Lord or his bona fide representative, takes very seriously chanting of the glories of the Lord and traveling all over the world so that others may also hear the glories of the Lord. Such devotees have no desire for material gain. They are conducted by one single desire to go back to Godhead. This awaits them in due course on quitting the material body. Kalam pratikshan. Because they have the highest aim of life going back to Godhead, they are never envious of anyone. Vimatstaraha. Nor they are proud of being eligible to go back to Godhead. Vimata. Their only business is to chant and remember the holy name, fame, and pastimes of the Lord. Namani anantasya atha pathasmaran guhyani bhadrani kirtani chasmaran. And according to the personal capacity to distribute the message for others' welfare without motive of material gain. Gata spruha. So each verse of the word Prabhupada is so beautifully explained in the purport. How wonderful is Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Grantra Srīmad Bhāgavatam ki. Jai Gaur Premanande. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.